We begin with the latest in Ukraine. Residents of Kyiv were woken by shelling this Sunday morning, the first attack on the capital in several weeks. Authorities say one person was killed and 4 others injured. The missiles damaged an apartment building and a kindergarten. Russia's defense ministry has called those reports fake and claims the strikes hit a missile factory. Here's the mayor of Kyiv reacting to the shelling.
You give me question why they attacked the Kyiv. The good question, why they attack Ukraine? Is this no reason? It's senseless war where died thousands and thousands of civilians. Putin's sick. Point.
France 24's Luke Shrago is covering the war in Ukraine for us. He joins us now from the town of Uman. Luke, that shelling of Kyiv this morning certainly rattled a lot of nerves.
Yes, as the rest of the world and the G7 might be talking about how it could help Ukraine at that summit there, Ukraine itself has seen another day of deadly strikes, both in Kyiv and in Cherkasy, deadly strikes there. It's the first time the capital has in fact been struck since early in June, a residential building and a kindergarten, leaving at least one woman dead there. Now, elsewhere, Russia is still grinding forward in its attempt to consolidate control over the city of Severodonetsk, which Ukraine pulled out of just a couple of days ago. Now, it's done what it's called a tactical withdrawal at that point. It is moved back in towards Lysychansk. That is where Russia is also pushing forward to. It is the Severodonetsk's sister city on the opposite western bank of the river Donetsk. Now, it's the last remaining city in Ukrainian hands in the province of Luhansk. According to Governor Serhiy Haidai, there has been massive destruction and the city itself is almost unrecognizable. Now, it's still been a major loss for the Ukrainians, despite the fact that they say there really is nothing left to fight for, and a major victory for the Russians, because it's not just a symbolic victory in its aim to try and move forward, taking all the control of all of the Donbas, including both Donetsk and Luhansk provinces, but it's a strategic city as well. It gives it access to the rest of Donbas via the Donetsk River, and it's also, at least it was, a major industrial hub. Now, Russia still faces major challenges. It needs to try and advance towards Kramatorsk, which is still in Ukrainian hands, to try and secure its supply routes to the city of Donetsk. Now, Ukraine is not going to be making this easy. They have a proven record of fierce resistance, and Lysychansk itself sits on the high ground, which is going to make it far easier to defend than Severodonetsk was.
Luke, more than 4 months have now passed since the war began, and we're actually starting to get a clearer picture of some of the losses that Ukraine's army have incurred.
Indeed, what was meant to be a lightning-fast war has long since become a protracted war of attrition and artillery. Now, we've heard estimates in recent days and weeks ranging from 100 to 200 casualties per day. Ukraine is badly outgunned by Russia, and now, despite the fact they want to try and exact a steep price from Russia for every inch of territory they take, the question is what price Ukraine itself is going to pay. The units that it's losing, those are experienced units, and the ones that they're leaving behind, these are newer recruits who do not have that experience, who are being thrown into battle, and often they have very little idea how to handle themselves. On top of this, you have another problem added to that. It's the question of Soviet-era supplies. You have to remember that much of Ukraine's military is still using old Soviet-era weaponry, and the supply of those Soviet-era munitions for that weaponry, they are beginning to dwindle. There is very little elsewhere left in the world. They've had major problems trying to source it from outside the country. Although there is one bright point. We've seen the success that Ukraine has had with Western weaponry in terms of bringing in anti-tank weapons at the beginning of the war. Now we are starting to see heavier weapons starting to arrive in terms of artillery. We're talking about the HIMARS, the M777, and even France's Caesar that are slowly getting towards the front line and getting into operation. Now, usually this kind of equipment, Western standard equipment, takes weeks of training. That has been shortened for the Ukrainians to around about 2 weeks. So the question now has to be asked, how long can Ukraine hold out until that kind of equipment will start to make a difference as Russia continues to throw men into its invasion?
France 24's Luke Shrago reporting there from Uman in central Ukraine. Luke, thank you very much.